Okay, team, welcome back to the end of the week where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives. My name is Zach.
And I'm Courtney.
And we are privileged to have two special guests on the episode. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Federico.
And I'm Carrie.
Boom. And
they are Hope Community Support.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In detail.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Give us context on what is Hope Community Support and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so Hope Community Support is just something on our hearts that really looks at emotional and mental well-being for people, especially in this day and age. It's so important. People's mental health, their emotional health, just their whole well-being. So aimed at that.
Amazing. Yeah, and so they are the perfect guest as we are kind of bringing our mind and behavior series to a close. They're going to give us some really practical tips and just a good chat. They're also very close friends of us, so we are so excited just to hang out with them. We're going to try to keep it serious. No, we're not actually. That's a lie.
We don't promise.
We don't make no promises. But if you're an OG Anchor for the Week fan, you will know who Federico already is.
Sure.
And we're going to just start calling him Fede from now on. Because
Or Poochie.
Or
You might-
Poochie. I will not call you Federico again
It's too
in
long.
this episode. Yeah, it's too long. But yeah, you were our last guest right before Zach joined the team. So you were. It was the last
It's
episode.
true, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Here we are. Look at that.
I know.
That's cool.
Is it my last episode now?
Hey, who knows?
Okay. Anyway, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just dive right into it. What do you say? You ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So basically, I'm gonna start us with a nice open question, and then wherever we go from this. Okay.
Sounds good.
So this entire series we've been talking about, as I said, mind and behaviors and how the way that we act affects the way we think, the way that we think affects the way we act, all of that, our brains, etc. So we're gonna put a hypothetical situation, not one that I relate to at all whatsoever. But let's just say I'm struggling with a mindset. I know it's not what I should be thinking, or I know it's not a healthy mindset for me to have, but I can't help acting out of that. What are your tips for us?
I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is which is super common, is looking at what we're consuming, because the mind is something that we're constantly being bombarded with ideas or information. There's so much information passed to us, and looking at what we're actually consuming is so helpful in what those patterns of mindsets are going on. So what are we? What is affecting those daily thought patterns? Is it something that's helping me walk against the things that I don't want to think about, or those unhealthy patterns, or is it things that do the opposite? So that's really important to look at first of all, because that's going to help us. Just like habits, or making habits. What are the things that are influencing us in terms of that? I think that's one of the big things with that.
And as well, also, I think that if it is something you have been doing for so long, like a habit, as she was saying, of course that it's hard to break it, to break that. So maybe keep trying every day, but if you fail, have some grace on yourself. Don't punish yourself, because it's a process. It's gonna take time to deform everything that you have been doing, break it down. So so it's grace, as well as she was saying. I think that it's a mix of both.
Discipline and grace.
Exactly.
But it's fascinating. So much of what we've talked about in the previous episodes has come back to habits.
It is, yeah. Which I'm a big fan of. It's so interesting. I don't know why I've never thought about what you consume affects. I haven't thought of that aspect.
I've never thought about that.
Well, not properly, no. So, anyway, maybe we've talked about it. I'm not sure if we have. Anyway, so that is so interesting because I was chatting to J-Dog the other day.
Jetson, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, people know who Jetson is. And we were just talking about it is really important what we consume and how it affects the way we think. And we were speaking about it in a Christian context of are we always what are we always feeding ourselves with? And and depending on that, like it's like being sensitive to like what God's doing in that moment, or even like sensitive to the Holy Spirit in that sense. Like if I'm feeding myself with, now he was using the idea of like, I'm just gonna out him here, not out him, but like share a bit about what's going on. But like he's doing like a whole 30-day fast from secular music, and he's just listening to worship music, and it's like, and then what he's finding is like he's like, not that like this is what makes this happen, but he is finding that he is more sensitive, like, or he's more aware maybe of like maybe what God's doing a bit more, like a bit more sensitive to the Spirit, because like that's what he's like feeding himself with more often. Like, what do you think are things that affect now outside of Christian context, but like in the context of what you're saying now? Like, what are things that we are consuming ourselves with that like maybe don't help us think in the best ways? Like for me, I think straight away social media. That's the easy example, right? But like maybe, what do you think?
I think like, I don't know, if you're having like a really bad day, you're not gonna go and listen like more depressed music, because that isn't gonna, it's not gonna help you. It's gonna bring you down. Or like if you're angry, like I don't know, though, like kind of like heavy metal music, it's gonna like kind of feed your anger.
Right. But we like, do that so often, don't we?
Exactly. We don't realize, but
but it's crazy. It's so interesting.
Like a little example with music. I don't know if you have another example. No, if you have.
Sorry. You're saying that was his example.
That was his example.
Well, I think like as you said that, like something that's really important as well is just being aware of what we're consuming.
Yeah.
Because again, maybe it's not something that we can like be like, okay, I'm removing myself from that, but even the fact of like I'm actually aware of what's going on around me, and I decide what is gonna affect me or not. You know, so it's not necessarily because sometimes you can't. You know, like just like okay, you know, I'm not gonna see anything today. You know, no, that's ridiculous. You know, but what am I going to like absorb, if that makes sense, or choose to? For instance, I don't know if you're taking the tube to work, you know, and everything is fast-paced and busy and rushed, and it's this go, go, go mentality, or kind of push everyone aside, like that can get into our system, so to speak, you know, we're like, okay, I have to be the best, I have to go to the top, you know, I have to, you know, and that can produce a lot of tension or anxiety or competition, all of that, you know. So being aware of like what I'm consuming doesn't always mean like, okay, I'm not going to be around people or this or that, but what is actually going to affect my mentality, my thoughts, and therefore my actions and habits and whatnot, you know. So even like taking the time to like really think about that, you know, or ask, you know, like, okay, what am I absorbing or receiving from this situation, you know, or what am I deciding based on, you know, what I'm seeing or being aware of whatnot. So.
That's so good, because I feel like it's so easy to be like, okay, like this is good or this is bad. You know what I mean? But you're right. Like you can't just cut out everything, or like that's also like the cop out.
Yeah.
You know, it's to be like, okay, well, listening to sad music or whatever music is bad, so I'm just like never gonna listen to music ever again. You know what I mean?
Like you cannot classify everything.
But it's the way that something affects you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's taking another level of maturity by being like, okay, actually looking at this situation. You know, because for me, like a lot of times, you know, I'm in the middle of something and just, you know, busy, you don't even take the time to actually process or like, wait a minute, like how is this affecting me?
Right.
This situation or whatnot, but actually taking the time to really think about that and then, you know, decide, you know, what you're going to allow in your thoughts and your mind, and decide based on that.
I will say though, like to be like the devil's advocate slightly. In fact, it's not even. But like because I am someone who like I'm like right, I need to be able to face these situations. Like I shouldn't be able to have to cut something out. Like you're saying, like I shouldn't have to do that. Like that's not right. And I'm like, no, I need to be strong enough to be able to handle this while having this, like almost. And I feel like that side of me sometimes like gets. Like because of that, I don't cut it out when actually I need to cut something out for a short period. I'm not saying that's like a long-term thing. Like for example, with Jetson's like whole gig with, you know, it felt weird calling him Jetson, but with him like doing the whole like 30-day fast, like that period where like it's like okay, it's like more of like a reflection and like understanding where I'm at with something, and then you go back into it more like a bit.
It's intentional.
Right.
You're not just doing it for the sake of running from it.
Yeah, but I could definitely see myself being like, no, I need to put up with this, and like, I need to be strong enough to handle it. But then I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot you guys could unpack in this.
I mean, maybe look at what you're consuming for that mentality.
Wait, okay. We were joking before that this could turn into a therapy session.
If all else fails, guys.
Yeah.
That would be scary. Anyway.
Yeah. That's so good.
So another thing that we've been talking about as well on the podcast in the past few episodes is like the trend of therapy as well. Like, you know, like we love that it's accessible. That's amazing, 100%. Like I think we can all agree on that. Like it's becoming more accessible. But we found like online things or whatever, like it always just feels kind of like a half version of what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Or like a fake version. I would love to know your perspective on that. Do you think kind of like the oversaturation of quote-unquote therapy is a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it...
Or even like what is good therapy? Like what is a healthy way of dealing with something?
I guess, and how can we tell if we're like getting the fake version of it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like this is the surface maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's good, but as well, it's depend like which intentions do you have at the moment of going. Like, do you go because you really need it and you need someone like to listen and to process the things, or because you just go because everyone is going, because it's trending, or it's because I don't know, like you just want to like get attention, or you want someone to like to feel bad about you or what you're going through. So it's like, what intentions do you have at the moment of going? It's not bad because we need someone like to speak truth in our life. We need someone to call out our things that we're doing wrong, or we need some guidance. But I think everything goes, which intentions do you have at the moment of going?
What are you searching for? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is actually really interesting because like realization or like self-awareness right now is definitely a trend. You know what I mean? Like if you are not like working through things, you know, within yourself, like that's not trendy. I never actually thought like put words to it like that.
Yeah.
But that is so true. You know, you don't want to be that person in the friend group that's not like bettering themselves. You know, but then you're just bettering yourself because that's what you do. You know what I mean? Are you actually bettering yourself? Or are you just talking about your emotions all the time?
Exactly.
And I think as well, like, it can be also very something self-focused, you know, which has its things. And it's as well when a lot of times when we're going to therapy, you know, okay, what is the outcome of that? You know, is it something that produces, you know, growth or moving forward, so to speak? And I think that's one of the key things to look at. Is it, you know, allowing us to move forward, you know, and to continue, you know, walking, you know, in more freedom, more fullness of life, essentially.
Yeah.
Or is it something that is just staying the same, essentially, or allowing us just to hear what we want to hear as well, you know, because sometimes we need to be confronted, you know, sometimes we need to be challenged in our thoughts, you know, that's what this, you know, whole mind and behavior is about. Like, if our thoughts are not being challenged, they're not going to change, you know, things aren't being confronted, you know, and allowed to grow or adapt, then there's not going to be movement, so to speak.
So like, what are ways you can recognize that though? Because like last
Sorry, I'm writing down
one of the episodes, on one of the episodes we did, like we were talking about like coping mechanisms and like what that looks like. And I think it's easy to fall in the trap of, and I think it's the same thing. It's like you're right, like what is helping you move forward, but sometimes we think moving forward is like coping with something, or it's like feeling better about a situation or something in your life, and so we'll revert to these different things, whether it's like breathing techniques or whatever else that's out there, and actually it's not helping us move forward. But like, how do you recognize that? Because sometimes someone's like, well, I'm coping with this, okay, like I'm feeling good. When I do my breathing work, like it makes me feel at peace about something, and for someone that is moving forward, because so how do you recognize your, like, what is moving forward, I guess, even, you know?
Well, the thing that comes to mind is like how are our beliefs, you know, because our thoughts are constant, you know, we're always thinking things, but they're so much connected to the way we believe about ourselves, you know, about one another, about, you know, life in general, that
Yeah.
perspective, that paradigm that we have, you know. And I think looking at that, you know, are there things that are being challenged or encouraged to grow in our beliefs, not just like on our thought level, you know.
Right.
Because, for instance, you know, if something triggers me, so to speak, you know, and I just, okay, I breathe, and then I feel better. Maybe that's not the lasting change that we need, you know. Maybe
Right.
we need to look at why is that trigger happening, and beyond the instant thought I have about it or the instant feeling I have, but the belief, that's the underlying thing, you know, and those are really deep things to get to and work through, so they take more time and more processes. But are those roots, so to speak, the ones being worked on, rather than just things on the surface?
That's so good.
Yeah. That's great. We're both like, yeah. It's good.
And how have you seen that, like, I don't know, like, what would like a practical like process of walking that out look like? Do you know what I mean? Or like, because I feel like we can say that,
Yeah.
you know, okay, I can sit there and I can be like, okay, I'm gonna like look at like the root of all of this, but like,
Yeah.
what is the healthy way to do that?
Yeah.
You know, without doing it like, is it doing it on your own? Is it bringing people in? Is it being wise? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think like if you want to bring someone, I think that is necessary, like to bring someone as well. So because we are not created like to do all the things alone. Like we were created to live in community, like to be like with people around, like to help us, like people, like we need people who will help us like to go forward. So we will need someone like as we go deep and see all the roots and all that. I think that we need someone like who can like walk with us in this process.
Yeah.
Like a person who can bring wisdom in this, a person who can like dedicate like time and help us like, okay, like what is going on, okay, let's see the root, how can we move forward, how we can pray together, we can seek God and see what maybe like he will reveal in all these.
Yeah, I think this is so now. Like, we'll start getting into like a bit of a sensitive area because now, like the idea of trust with someone else, and the idea of like someone also like, I mean, trauma is a huge word, but like someone who's like broken that trust with that like a tight relationship like that, like how do you maneuver around that? Because for example, like I could have been walking with someone before, and maybe like the outcomes of it was very bad, and so you're then in that place where it's like we want to encourage people to walk with others, but then you also get hurt, right?
Yeah.
Or like that's a real thing as well, and so does that discourage someone from bringing others into it, or like yeah, I don't know. It's not really a question. I don't know if it's
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It definitely discourages people. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's a massive hurdle. But ultimately, I think the choice is whether we stay where we are, you know, and because someone hurt me before, I'm not going to move forward, you know, with other people. That's a very isolating position, you know, and to stay in that isolating position means like shutting the door on, you know, the hope for change, you know, or hope for something different, you know.
Yeah.
It says, okay, it is like this, there can be nothing different, you know, whereas, you know, if we choose to walk forward in forgiveness or choosing to trust again, you know, even though we have been hurt, obviously, you know, with wisdom, you know, and care and all of that, it's choosing to look for something different and say, okay, no, that's not the final word, you know, or, you know, the end of all hope, so to speak. And I think we have to see, you know, which decision we make in that, whether it's like, okay, no, I'm done moving forward in that, or no, I'm going to still continue to move forward in this area and choose that trust again.
So that's actually very interesting because as we're talking, I'm like, wow, a lot of this just comes back to choice, right? Like to actually just make that choice of like, okay, well, I'm going to choose to seek different, I'm going to choose to trust, or I'm going to choose to, you know. But what's like that point though? Because I feel like that's like the crossroads is we either choose to do it or we don't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do we choose when we don't want to choose?
yeah.
I think it's a matter of seeing the bigger perspective. You know, okay, if I don't move from here, this is all there is. You know, if I stay in the hurt, that is what I'm choosing to have, the hurt. You know, but if you choose to move forward, you're choosing another option. Okay, maybe there's more than hurt.
So So basically,
Yeah.
whatever you decide is a choice. So even if you don't do anything, like you don't make the choice, you're still choosing.
You're still choosing, yeah. Ooh.
Interesting.
Wow.
Because I can stay with what I know, I can stay with the pain
Right.
of that situation, but that's saying every situation is going to be like that. But you limit yourself
Mm.
from so many other situations that could be different.
I'm trying to think. Okay, this morning, I don't know if this relates at all, but I'm gonna share it anyway. So there's a picture of like a guy pushing someone, and
Like over or like
just
up?
it was like not even a proper drawing. It's not like a proper picture. I don't know. He was like pushing it.
Yeah.
That's all you saw,
Okay.
or like about to push him, and he was like kind of leaning forward, whatever. Anyway, so in that picture, it just looks bad, right? And it looks like why are you pushing him? Almost. But then it shows like a second picture. This is a little bit cheesy, so bear with me. I know Courtney's gonna find this. Oh my goodness, a little cheesy.
I'm already judging.
But in the second picture, there's like a car coming at them, and so he's like pushing him out the way, basically. And so it's like, but the message was the idea of like, yeah, it's a little bit cheesy.
Carry on.
Thank you, Richard. Two lads. But like, bear with me, because it's like it's the same thing of what you're sharing is like it is that bigger picture, and like it seems bad. It doesn't seem like just or fair, and sometimes like the decision in the moment is like, well, this is how I should be feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes when we just like realize the bigger picture of like
Exactly.
the car coming at you or whatever it is, like the bigger picture is, then that helps us make decisions, doesn't it? Like I think that's so good that you
Yeah,
mentioned
it's
that.
good. It's good as well, like to get out of that victim mentality.
Yeah.
Like or being like the main character of everything, and just like it's sad, it's just like calling the attention of everyone and all that. Like, I think that like to move on, like you need to make a choice.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like the past doesn't have more authority in me. I want I
Right.
want to change my future because everything that happened in the past, like you're gonna change it. But it's up to you. It's a decision if you want to change your future. If you want to change your like how you're living now.
Yeah.
So it's if up to you if you want a better life or not.
Wow.
You're not wrong, but
Well, we
okay.
did finish the episode there.
No. Wow. I mean, yeah. That's Before we end the episode,
Mm.
okay. One of my favorite topics right now, or my favorite topics to talk about is the way that we talk about things. Essentially, just therapy speak, and the way that we like. I literally, I heard someone yesterday. I was in the kitchen, and one of my housemates came in and said, "Well, I don't have the capacity for that right now," and I was like, "Oh, like what?" Like, yeah, because Anyway, therapy speak, right? When we like use these like words and these terms to like
Yeah.
express how we're feeling.
Mm.
But then we had a whole episode about this where it was actually like, I can be like, Fanny, I don't have the capacity for your friendship right now. And then just cut you off and ghost you. I don't. I have a lot of capacity for your friendship.
I appreciate it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But like, do you think, like, how much of that is, like, you guys obviously use stuff like this, and you guys use words like this, and you, like, but where is the line where it's, like, not good?
I think the thing is like awareness is good, but awareness without responsibility will leave you in the same place. You know, we have to have awareness and
Yeah, I'm
responsibility.
really nuts. I'm taking about everything you're saying.
Can I get them?
Like the responsibility takes the second level, the second step, so to speak. You know, awareness is good, but we have awareness with responsibility. I
Yeah.
think is key to that movement and growth.
Yeah.
Wow, so good. Anyway, I'm gonna read these and cry tonight, so it's
Pressing the back.
Wait, Taylor's supposed to speak now.
Because it's easier to just the awareness and feel like, oh, I'm aware, you know,
Yeah.
but it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Because we like the easy way out all the time, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
But as you said, long term.
Yeah.
Because like the car's coming.
Yeah.
Wait, so fun.
But so the flip side of that as well, as we are wrapping up, because I really agree with that. I'm on board with that. And then like, but I know I'll have other people say to me, well, like, to understand like kind of where we're at a little bit, or like I guess the grace aspect maybe. I don't know, how do you get that balance right? Because I'm very much like, we have a responsibility with the way we make decisions, and we are capable to make decisions, and I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for that. But at the same time, like, I think then the flip side of that is like sometimes I lose maybe the grace or like the understanding of like this is tough for someone.
Yeah.
You know? But you know, how do I get better at that?
Like, how does empathy like come in? Because again, like it's such. We can say, okay, you guys like focus on mental and emotional well-being, but in there's so many different things that you could struggle with. So even if I have a certain weakness in my mental well-being, and he has one, it can be totally different. We don't relate to each other. You know?
I guess the image of the two legs that we have, you know, like if we just take steps with one leg, we're just gonna be hopping essentially, you know. But like with awareness, with that grace, that compassion, you know, that we were talking about, that we have to understand and process while walking forward with the growth and the responsibility, you know. So I think it's like we take one step, you know. If it's just one leg going, it's not gonna work. You know? But as each leg moves forward, you know, with that grace, you know, because it's a process, you know, as long as it takes, with that patience, that consistency, I think is the key. Having that grace with ourselves and continuing forward. You know, it's not about how fast we go. It's not about you know, if you're running or whatever. No, but like it's the consistency. Because we can run forward, but still, you know, like give up or fall back. You know, but do we have that consistency to push forward with that grace, with that understanding, with that empathy, that compassion, as well as you know, learning that responsibility, and that's a process.
And don't compare with others as well.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, like, to compare, but we can see that maybe, like, what I want to say, like, we don't know what the person is going through, the other person, so you cannot judge, like, the process, like, you cannot judge it, because we don't know what the person is going through, so each person has their own time, and you need to, like, respect that as well, like, you need to have that grace for you and for others as well, like, or maybe, like, it's the opposite, like, you love so much the person that you want the person like to be healed quickly. It's like, okay, let's go do it. But maybe the person needs more time, needs more process. You don't know what the other person needs. So that's why it's important not to compare and just be with the person, like to walk through.
And it's interesting. I don't know. Just something I'm thinking about right now is like, because we're talking about like moving forward and growing, and I think a lot of people have it like, okay, like I'm gonna go through this, or I'm gonna heal these things, or my traumas, my triggers, and all these, and then I'm gonna reach a goal, and I'm gonna get there. You know, so even as we're talking about this moving forward, and like we're never fully gonna be without any issues, right? And so I just, because then for me, in my personality, I'm like, and then why try? You know. But for anyone like that, that's like, okay, like, but we want like an end goal. We want to say, okay, I did it. Like, I'm fixed. You know, like, how can we still have that hope and moving forward, even if we know like we'll never see like, you know, in this lifetime, like the fullness and the completeness of it.
I think the key is to enjoy the process. You know, and we tend to hate the process. You know, but if we look at our lives, the process is the whole of our lives. Essentially, you know, if we miss our whole lives if we're not going to actually enjoy the process.
Right. Like the time crunch of like where I should be right now, and I think that's what gets me most frustrated about like moving on from something. It's like, oh, I should have moved on from this by now, or it's like, you know, and so it's like having that like understanding like the empathy side of it and like being present in this process. I love that. That's great. Boom. Thank you, team. Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
I know.
That was great. Me and Courtney have a few bits and bobs that we've noted down. I'm sure those listening have a few things as well.
Yes. So thanks for joining us. How can they get involved with Hope Community Support? People that are listening to this and.
So you can check out our Instagram, Hope Community Support. We're putting like tips and practical things to help us day-to-day life, mental and emotional health. So
or you can send an email. I don't remember.
By the way, show notes.
Remember.
We'll hook you up with that. So if you're in like the London area, they have a workbook at some cafes, I think, as well, which is super good, super helpful. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
And thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us at the Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives.
Remember, you can stay connected by following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Hope these conversations are inspiring you to have hard convos as well.
We'll see you next time, and remember, attack topics and not people.